I'm pretty sure I say this often, but A Midwinter Night's Dream is a brilliant episode of Frasier. I know they're all brilliant, but this one in particular is quite a pivotal episode with regards to Niles and Daphne. And there will be spoilers in this discussion for what happens in this episode and presumably previous episodes. But although I've seen the show all the way through before, I know what happens. I won't be discussing what happens in future episodes. This is the 17th episode of the first season of Frasier, directed by David Lee. And Niles really opens up in this one about Maris, and he talks about her with love. It's very clear that he loves her, but it's also very clear that their marriage is going through a really difficult patch, and it doesn't help the fact that Niles is clearly in love with Daphne. There's a great scene at the beginning where Frasier and Niles are discussing things in Cafe Nervosa, and Daphne comes in, and it's really rare to see Daphne in Cafe Nervosa. In fact, this might be the first time, I'm not 100% sure, but it's definitely unusual to see that character in that environment. So it's a little bit different and a little bit exciting, and I really enjoy that. And this is such a well-written episode. I mean, again, they all are, but it's brilliantly written, and particularly there are a lot of innuendos in this episode, put it that way. And the costume that Niles wears, at Frasier's advice to spice up their love life, I have to say, David Hyde Pierce looked amazing. It's a brilliant costume. The comedic timing of the reveal, the way Niles recounted the story of what happened, it was just so brilliant. And I think Martin was great as well, because yeah, he made fun of Niles, but he also supported Niles and made him realise that everybody has embarrassing stories. I think Martin had a really lovely way of responding to this. In true Martin fashion, I think Martin as a character is a really brilliant source of comedy when mocking his sons, but also is always there for them when they need him, which I think is just so beautiful and such a great character. Then things get even worse when we find out that Maris has gone away to think about their marriage, and it's a really difficult situation for Niles to be in. He's watching Daphne dating somebody else. His marriage is definitely in a difficult situation, and he's very heavily crushing on Daphne. His emotions are all over the place, and we really see this in this episode. It's been a while since we had any real focus on Niles, and I think, if I'm getting my timeline correct, this is the first episode where Niles is the main character. And that's so much so that I think we're only in the radio station once, if I remember correctly, and that's when we have the discussion between Frasier and Ross. So Niles is very much at the helm here. And the scenes in Niles's home, really great to see, more of his environment, but the scenes there with Daphne are wonderful. There's a moment where Niles and Daphne are sitting on this rather small sofa, side by side, and it's such a beautiful scene, and how that plays out I just thought was just fantastic. Really beautiful, really thoroughly enjoyed it. Frasier's line about Heathcliff I rather loved. The comment about Sylvia Plath's bell jar I loved. As I said, brilliantly written episode, so much that so many small little things, kind of blink and you miss it things, but things that I love. And the whole thing with the glockenspiel and what that stood for, I thought was really moving and really beautiful. And yeah, Niles is in a difficult situation emotionally, but he's also feeling positive emotions that he's not felt in a long time. And obviously that causes a lot of confusion, but it's also nice that he's feeling these positive emotions and spending time with Daphne. And obviously Daphne was in this quite a bit as well, which is always great. Eddie was barely in it, but when he was in it, he was very, very cute. I really enjoyed it. Definitely a brilliant episode. Very well written. It's so great to spend more time with Niles. As the show goes on, we do get a bit more balance. It's still very much Frasier, but obviously as time goes on, we do get to see a bit more of Niles and Niles' home life, but I won't go into any detail about those episodes. But either way, I think A Midwinter's Night Dream is the perfect blend of comedy, of course, and emotion, and I think it got the balance spot on. Very, very funny, but also a very, very moving episode that paves the way with uncertainty about things that could be, about things that Niles may experience. With this episode, it's really unclear what the future of that character is going to be, and I like that. I think it works very well. Definitely, as most of them are, a really solid episode.